Darshan, good morning. L&T managed to give us some signs of relief, but the overall picture, is it looking as good, as bad, or murkier?
So it's looking financially, it's looking okay. It's not looking that bad. But the problem is that the commentary has been bad for most of the companies. So we'll dwell into it. So if you take a look at the overall scorecard, 16 companies have come out with numbers. 10 of them are in line, 5 of them are stronger, and only one weak, and that was Maruti. A lot of companies have come out with numbers which actually met analyst estimate. And the trend is similar to what we saw over last year also. So if you do a YOY comparison, firstly, let's take a look at which were the companies. So Maruti is the only weak one. Among the good ones, there was Kotak Mahindra Bank, which reported good numbers. Z was the one, very, very strong set of numbers. Infratel, L&T and Asian Paints were the strong one. Apart from it, the large FMCG companies, the large IT companies, all of them came out with numbers which were in line. A lot of private sector banks there. And Maruti was the first red stamp that we had, clearly missing estimates. Now, if you take a look at the trends that have happened, it's pretty similar to what we saw last year also, because only 1 week number. So it's early days, and only one number of companies in line with numbers, and the number of strong companies have actually risen. So that's the trend, and the number of weeks have come down from what we saw last time around. So on a year-on-year, if you compare it, it's pretty similar to what we saw. Comparing the EPS estimates that we have seen, that's come down sharply. At the start of the third quarter, that is 1st of October, the EPS for the Nifty 50 companies was 135. At November 15th, when the Q2 earnings season ended and the estimates actually came out for the third quarter numbers, it was 137. At the start of the earnings season, when IndusInd reported the first number on Jan 9, it was 119. Similar case is it 119, but as the earnings season progresses, probably we might see earnings downgrade that could come in. So that's the trend that we're seeing.
Okay, so how are the results of the major companies, Darshan, that have reported numbers thus far?
Yeah, so let's take it individually. The first one is Maruti Suzuki. Margins fall to a 5-year low. The profit is at the lowest level since the fourth quarter of 2016. High discounts, commodity stuff, all of them wane. So it was an extremely disappointing set of numbers. Commentary was extremely subdued. What they say is that the Gujarat plant localization to reach a goal in 12 months, and that is something that will aid margins. But overall, Maruti was a big disappointment this time around, and the counter fell 10%. Even though Ultratech, the results were in line, the management commentary was extremely weak. The realization as well as utilization level remained weak for Ultratech, and despite Shree Cement coming out with strong set of numbers, Ultratech disappointed, and they took the entire sector down with it. So there was weakness that was seen in Ultratech. Now L&T, it's going to be a mixed bag. Extremely strong set of numbers. Guidance was maintained. Expect sales to be at the higher end of 12 to 15%. Overall strong traction. Working capital declined. Order inflow also, even though it came below what it was last time around, still, and that was because of a higher base last time, still over 40,000 crores. We were anticipating anywhere between 35 to 40,000 crores. The only thing that could dent L&T stock this time was the infra segment. Even though growth was seen, the margins were extremely low, less than 5% margins. The other income boosted the numbers this time around. So except for a few orders, the infra margins was the big disappointment and probably could wane on L&T's numbers. But apart from it, strong set of numbers. The consumer story was decent this time around. Asian Paints was very strong. Strongest volume growth in the last 8 years, over 20% margin volume growth, but the margins disappointed. Similar was the case with ITC. EBIT was extremely strong for ITC, but the margins disappointment. And even if you take a look at the HUL, while the volume growth was strong, the margins were. So operationally, on the margin side, that was a disappointment. For Reliance, if you're looking at it, strong performance across all the segment. Consolidated net profit above the 10,000 crore mark for the first time on a quarter. High production, slow demand waned on the GRM. So the core business faced a little bit of pressure, while retail as well as Reliance Jio did well for Reliance. The other sector and the other companies, obviously, Yes Bank numbers were in line. They didn't do extremely well, but it surges on the appointment of a new CEO. Numbers were lackluster. On IndusInd Bank also, numbers were in line. But again, IL&FS, they put it as a standard asset rather than a non-performing asset, and that is why the counter managed to correct significantly. Some of the other stocks that we want to talk about, IT in line, there was no changes. Margins were weak, results were in line, guidance was maintained, except for Infosys, which raised it. Apart from it, it was rather to the textbook as far as IT was concerned. Z, the other company Z, results higher than the best analyst estimates also, but for Z, it's the news other than the result that is impacting the share price of the company. And finally, Bharti Infratel, A very strong set of numbers. Exit charges, high rentals, cost ate the numbers, and gross additions were the highest in the past 5 quarters. So if you see, Neeraj, the numbers were in line, most of them, but the stocks are reacting basically on the commentary or news outside the numbers. So that's the trend that we are seeing at this point of time. As of now, it looks muted, but remember, the other auto companies will come out with numbers now, and that is something that you need to watch out for.